Well, the schedule for the Bears, it is out. It came out last week. The schedule confidence, the toughest matchups. We're going to go over that. Caleb Williams, a statement game. Is there a trap game inside the schedule? And do we think the Bears are going to make the playoffs, or they're going to go undefeated, or are they not going to win a game? Well, it's a good thing I got my buddy Chris with me as we break all of this down. That is coming next on the Chicago Sports Podcast.
Let's go. Yo. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back, better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. Never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast. And that's facts.
Welcome to Bears on Tracks, brought to you by the Chicago Sports Podcast, 5-4 Chicago. We are excited to have you guys with us on this Memorial Day weekend, as me and Chris were just talking about that. So a lot of people out and about this weekend, some people traveling. Either way, thank you so much for making your time with us right here on the Chicago Sports Podcast. I'm Matt Cooper. I got my buddy Chris Light Dreams Brown with me tonight. Chris, how you feeling, man? It's always good to see you.
I'm feeling golden, man. You know how it is. You talking football, I'm always here, and I'm going to enjoy my time, man.
Yeah, man, there's never a bad time to talk about football, never a bad time to talk about the Bears, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper. The Bears' schedule confidence pool. How confident are we in on the schedule, on the matchups? Chris and I are going to go over all that, so thank you guys for watching. You can like and subscribe on our YouTube page, our YouTube channel, and you can share this with your friends, and we can't say thank you enough for choosing our program with you tonight. And you'll see all the shows, too. We have a lot of shows on the Chicago Sports Podcast. All right, Chris. So we're going to go back to our schedule. We're going to go over the Bears' schedule, and we're going to go over some of the tougher games. We talked a little bit about this last week. And, I'm going to go ahead and pull it up here, Chris, in just a second as if I can find it. That me and you kind of at the end of last week's show agreed that this is going to be a very tough season. This is a tough schedule the more you go over it. So here we go. I am going to pull this up. And there it is. The 2025-2026 Bears schedule. And we're going to start off by talking about some of the toughest matchups for the season, and we'll break it down. And Chris, let's start with number 5. So I'm going to go like our 5 picks of the toughest matchups on the schedule as we look at it. I think me and you were talking a little bit before what we think the first 2 would be, but number 5, I think I'm going to start off with the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to start off right in the division, mattering if it's away, if it's home. Either way, I think still they've won a lot of games against us. It's going to be a different regime with us this year, but I still think they're going to be a tough matchup, especially on the road when we face them on the road. And we got them as well really close to each other. We got them within a span of 3 weeks. So I feel like beating them twice is going to be very tough.
I agree with you on that one because of the fact that it is tough to beat your opponent twice, but then at the same time, you got back-to-back weeks. It also, whatever you've done in the first game is still fresh in your mind, and at the same time, it's more difficult to prepare because of the simple fact that you only got like in one game to fix all the things that another team probably has exposed on your team or what may be problematic. So also it's late in the season, so Green Bay may be rolling as well. And yeah, I think it'll be a great matchup, but I think that would be the 5th toughest game that I have on there also.
It's going to be interesting to see how Jordan Love does this year, too. Another year of Jordan Love with that offense, and he's got some more weapons. We talked about it last week and some of the receivers that it took in the draft. So with the span of 2 weeks, I'm going to start right off in the division, Green Bay at number 5. Going to number 4, and of course, Chris, and anybody in the chat room, too. Chris, if you guys want to, if you have something different, just go ahead and let us know. And you guys can also comment. I see already Atmos in the chat. I got Darius in the chat. Thank you guys for watching tonight. I'm going to stay in our division for number 4, and I'm going to say the Lions. Even though I think we play the Lions tough, and we played the Lions tough last year too. The last 2 years, we actually played the Lions very tough. But I think it's going to be hard right off the bat in week 2 away in Detroit. I had that when we were going over the wins and losses last week. I thought that was going to be the toughest one out of those first 4 games was going to be away. And again, I think I have them splitting when we go over, but I think number 4, I'm going to go with Detroit. It's going to be interesting to see what the new coordinators that they have and see how their players adjust to it. But Either way, I still think they got playmakers. I saw Aiden Hutchinson on the podium. What was that, yesterday or Wednesday? But he was talking about how he's fully healthy right now, and you can tell that guy's dying to get back on the field.
I would agree with you, but my pick is the Bengals. I mean, they have that potent offense. When you have a T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow, slinging the rock across the yard, that offense can be real tough to stop. And if Chase Brown, he continues to elevate his career, it kind of becomes a issue as far as like for the defense and how you stop them. And sometimes, when you score a lot of points, you put a lot of pressure on the opposing offense. So I see that as a tough matchup because of the simple fact is like, what is this defense going to do to stop Jamar Chase and the T. Higgins combination? And we all know Joe Burrow with his accuracy and his arm, he's going to get the ball to them when they're open.
I'm glad you brought up the Bengals because I actually had them at number 3. So we're not there. Good minds think alike there, Chris. You make a lot of great points. Yeah. And here's the other thing. And I know I brought this up a little bit last week, but we're also going to get the Bengals in the middle of the year. And I feel like the past couple of years, that's when they start thriving, is right in the middle of the season. And you bring up the points about the offensive weapons. That's going to be tough for the defense to stop in general. It's going to be interesting with the Bengals this year, too, with their defense. They have a new defensive coordinator. I still think Trey Hendrickson's going to be there. I know we heard the rumors of him being traded and rumors out there of him being offered a contract. By the end of the day, I don't think he's getting moved. I think he's going to be there for another year. And I think by that point, he's probably going to have about, 8 to 10 sacks. So he's going to be a hard guy to take care of with the football. And then Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's Joe Burrow. The guy's incredible. I said it a couple of times on the show. When that guy is on, he's the best quarterback in the NFL. So I think as far as the toughest matchup is number 3 in Cincinnati, too. That's going to be in Cincinnati. Although I think there will be a lot of Bears fans that make that trip. Heck, I was just watching the Cubs-Reds game tonight before we jumped on here. It was all Cubs fans at that game, man. So you got to believe that the Chicago fans are going to travel well for that. So for my number 3, it's the Cincinnati Bengals. How about your number 3, Chris?
My number 3 is, I'm pretty sure Bears fans are going to love this, is Washington. Just for the simple fact that I believe that it's going to be one of those games where you have a team that's elevating in Washington with Jaden Daniels. They got Debo Samuels. They still got I just forgot the wide receiver's name. They still got
Terry McLaurin.
Terry McLaurin. I don't know why that slipped, but they still have Terry McLaurin. They still got Zach Ertz as the veteran leadership, and that defense is getting better and better with Zanstrel as the corner. I believe they still got Marcus Lattimore, Bobby Wagner, another veteran presence, and when you look at it, like what Dan Quinn's building over there, it seems like a recipe for success. So I see that as both teams are elevating, both quarterbacks, number 1, number 2 pick in the draft. I think it's going to be one of those games where you're going to be on the edge of your seat for each play. I think that's going to be one like the number 3 toughest game for me.
It's funny you say that because I was almost going to put them at number 5, and I had them at 6. When I was going over the show today, and I still think that's going to be a really hard game, especially week 6 back there. They've improved. If you think we had a really good offseason, so did Washington. I think they had a great offseason as well, especially on their offense. So you bring up really good points about the Commanders. They're going to be hungry. Jaden Daniels, interesting how he's going to go in year number 2 under Cliff Kingsbury and how that offense is going to thrive with those type of weapons. So that's a very good choice, Chris. And you guys can let us know what you think, too, in the chat. And thank you guys for watching tonight. We really appreciate that. And share this with your friends, to all of your Bears friends as well. That brings me to my number 2. And I was kind of contemplating on this, but I'm going to say the Baltimore Ravens, number 2. Baltimore, it's going to be the start of a couple of weeks of on the road. Baltimore is a very tough place to play for any team going to that stadium. And I went there firsthand when I went there to watch a Steeler-Raven game and realized I'm like, whoa, maybe I underestimated this fan base, but that fan base is nuts. They pack that place out. That's one of those places you don't see a lot of opposing fans going to. And I think the Ravens this year, after going out last year, they're going to have something to prove, and they know it. You could see that. You could see that in the interviews, especially when you look at the ones with Lamar Jackson. Derrick Henry is going to be back there. I think they upgraded on their defense, especially in the secondary. And I'm interested to see Roquan Smith against his old team, even though it's kind of bottom on the list. But either way, going on the road to face the Baltimore Ravens, who's a very good team, I guess it depends if there's a healthy Lamar Jackson or not. But that's my number 2, Chris.
I agree with you there. And the reason why I agree is because you got Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. And then on top of that, you got Isaiah Likely. And then you have Mark Andrews. And then you got Zay Flowers. And then, Bateman, and then they drafted Webster from Colorado, who's also another shifty guy. So I mean, their offense alone is a threat that where they could either run through your face, or Lamar Jackson showed last year that he has that ability to sling the ball all over the yard, and them throws are going to be on point. And then when you look at it defensively, their weakness was the secondary, prefer mainly the safety spot. And then you see how their defense can execute when they fix that. They got a guy named Malachi Starks who has a reputation based off his college career. As soon as he comes in, you can plug him in, and he could play. He could show out. So when you look at that defense and the offense, how it's all set up, it's going to be one of those ultimate tests for Chicago coming this upcoming year.
I like that draft pick, by the way, too. I really like that draft pick from the Ravens, as they could certainly use that help, and they're always very good defensively too. So it's gonna be fun to watch. It's been a while since we've gotten to see Bears and Ravens. I feel like those are two hard-nosed football towns. Baltimore and Chicago, the fan bases are kind of similar. I always compare like the Bears, Steelers, Ravens. I always feel like those fan bases are just like right on par with each other because
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
similarities. Doesn't it feel like that?
Yeah, it does because when you look at the history of the team, for the most part, it's built on the defenses, hard hitting, always attacking defenses. And so when you look at the history of the Bears, you look at the history of the Ravens, when they kind of mirror each other. You think of Dick Butkus when it comes to the Bears. You think of Brian Urlacher, Lance Briggs. But when you look at the Baltimore Ravens, you're thinking of Ray Lewis, Peter Bulwar, T Sizzle, and then now you're thinking of Roquan Smith. So they mirror each other because of the fact that they are not a defense. They were not defenses that were like just sit back. They attack you. They play physical, and they're going to give you everything they get. They got all 4 quarters.
And it's going to be fun to watch, and it's going to be a game in that week, and that stretch of Bears games, all those noon games, 6 noon games in a row. That would be the second one in that slate for the Bears schedule. All right, number 1, top 5 toughest matchups. I think we both agree on this one, Chris, is the Philadelphia Eagles Black Friday football. That is going to be a Friday night game, November 28th. Eagles coming off their Super Bowl win. Now, they lost some players in the offseason, but the Eagles are one of those teams where they could lose players and they replace them, and they draft very, very well. They always pick the right draft picks. It's going to be interesting to see how Hurts does coming back. Saquon Barkley, a healthy Saquon Barkley. Will Saquon Barkley be healthy by that point? That's always a question, too. The receivers, they got a good offensive line, and that defense, especially when you start thinking about the defense for the Eagles, you think of the front seven, how ferocious they are, and it's in Philadelphia. So that's, to me, going to be the toughest game of the year for them.
I agree. It's just for the simple fact that when you look at Philly's roster, and you got to give kudos to Howie Roseman, how we set this team up for success. He has a defensive coordinator. The only question with Philly is the offensive coordinator. But when that offensive line starts getting to the second level, when they get rolling, and when they start running that ball, it becomes a really big problem. We've seen it when they played the Rams. We've seen it when they played Washington, where Saquon just breaks it and he has 100 plus yards in the first half or even the first quarter. And then you have Jalen Hurts, who he showed last year he doesn't have to be the star of the show. He has no problem just being the game manager, taking care of the ball, distributing the ball wherever he needs to put as far as his receivers. And if you somehow shut down the run game, you got A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert to worry about. So when you look at like the teams 1 and teams 2 that are the toughest, doesn't even feel like team 1 and 2. It's more like team 1A and team 1B because there's not really a lot of holes in their roster on all 3 levels.
No, I don't think so either. And I still think they're going to be one of the best teams in the league going into this year. So that is going to be week 13 against the Eagles, a Black Friday football for the Bears. As we wind up here, the top 5 toughest matchups, as we're going over the Bears schedule and our confidence pool and what we think, and breaking down some of what we think and some of the tougher matchups. This now brings us to where Caleb Williams makes his national statement. So where do you think, and you look at the schedule, and you guys can comment down here in the chat. And thank you guys for watching today too. We see y'all in there. Thank you guys very much. Where is he going to make his statement game? Because for me, Chris, I still think it's going to be a couple of weeks until he really grasps his offense. I think it's going to be the first 3 games are going to be tough. Vikings, Detroit, Dallas. And we're looking for that statement game. And where could he do that? And the one that I'm looking at is going to be that one in Washington. I think going back to Washington for Monday Night Football, it's coming after the bye week. After everything that happened last year, after the Hail Mary, how they lost that game, Jaden Daniels, the way he played last year, because he was clearly the best, played the best out of all the rookie quarterbacks last year. We can't even argue that. I still think Caleb has a potential of being the best out of that group, but we can't argue what Jaden Daniels did last year. I think all of that going into that game, I think that game in Washington is where he can make his statement and really put it on to them and say, hey, no, I'm the best quarterback that was out of that draft, and we're better than Washington. So that's going to be a fun game to watch. And you were talking about it a little bit earlier because you had that on your list as the toughest games.
For me, it's gonna be a little different. I'm gonna go with Cincinnati. And it's for the simple fact that it's kind of just, when you look at a team like Cincinnati, they have the firepower to where they can go, they can go score for with any team. And I think that'll be more of a statement game because let's just say if the defense can't hold up their end of the bargain and he goes, score from score with a quarterback like Joe Burrow and pulls it off, that can be a bigger statement because that shows this city that, you know what, if he needs to, he could put the team on his back and bring them to victory. So I feel like that one has the biggest potential of being a statement game just for Caleb himself. But when we're talking about the Bears, then I think that'd be a totally different game entirely. But this one right here, if he can go score for score with a top 5 QB in the league, then that shows the statement like, hey, I'm here. I can get down with the rest of them. Like I can go score for score too. You went put 2 touchdowns up. Okay, I'll give you 3. Now I'll try to see if you can match me. So I honestly think that's the one right there.
Man, I like what you're thinking there. I wasn't even thinking about the Bengals game because that's right away where I'm thinking like, oh man, Joe Burrow, that's gonna be tough in Cincinnati. But you make some really good points there, especially when you're going against a guy like Joe Burrow, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And there's going to be a good amount of Bears fans representing in Cincinnati for that game. That's going to feel like all the adrenaline's going to go right through him, and he's going to want to make that statement. So I like where you're going there with the Bengals. So I think either way, between the Bengals game or the Commanders game, you can go. But a couple of tough games on the schedule. Caleb Williams, he's going to make that statement at some point this year. We just don't know what game that's going to be. So it's going to be fun to watch as we're talking about the Bears and their confidence and the schedule, the confidence that we have going into this year with the schedule. So thank you guys. You can like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, our YouTube page. And I want to talk a little bit about the Packers. I brought the Packers up at the beginning of the show, Chris. I was talking about how I thought they kicked off on my 5th hardest part of the schedule with those 3 weeks, 2 games in 3 weeks against the Packers. I think it's going to be tough to win both of the games. So let's take a look at week 14 in particular. Week 14 is at Lambeau Field. And what does that really mean for the Bears? Or what does that mean as a Bears player or a Bears fan when you're in Lambeau Field? Because it's a different feel out there. And I feel like if you go up to Lambeau Field again and you can go up there and get a win, especially under the Ben Johnson regime, you are going to really kick into gear the confidence of not only the players and the fans and get that rival back because it hasn't been a rival. This hasn't been a rival at all. And we're missing that. I think the city of Chicago, I think the Bears fans in general are missing that one hardcore rival that we should have when it comes to the Packers. And I want to feel that again, Chris. And I think that means a lot. If they could go up there at week 14, it's going to mean, and it's going to be a bigger feel to me than it normally would for any other game.
Well, for that one, I definitely agree. We talked about it a couple weeks ago, where I was stating that the Lions game would more be like a changing of the guard if they were able to to put the sweep. But this one here is different. It's a different level of It's not just a divisional rivalry. It's a rivalry just because of the things that went down between different players from each teams, even both teams. So I think right there, if you pull it off in Lambeau Field, it is going to show that that there's going to be potential for era change as far as this rivalry is concerned. It's like, okay, well, you had your time with Aaron Rodgers. Well, now this is Caleb Williams' time. So if they pull it off in Lambeau, it's a statement win. Just because of the fact that when you see throughout history, I would say the last like 10, 15 years, it's been difficult to pull it off in Lambeau because they had Aaron Rodgers at the QB position.
Chris, how do you think Jordan Love's going to play this year? Here he is. He's healthy. Well, it looks like he's going to be healthy going in with some more weapons and another year in that offense. Do you think he takes a step forward, or do you think he takes a step back, or do you think he's just is what he is? And he's still going to make some plays, but throw the ball to the other team.
I think he has the potential to take a step forward. But I'll just right now, I'm just gonna play it like this is who he is this particular part in time in his career, because we've seen, 2 seasons ago, early in that season, he played similar to how he played last year. And then, that second half of that year, he turned it on and he lit up a lot of teams, and the Lions were one of them. So I look at it as far as like not just Jordan Love, but that offense as a whole. The thing about it is with that offense is the speed frees up a lot as far as like defenses and stretches them vertical. So you could do a lot of things like from between the hashes as far as like using Jalen Reed and everything like that. So they got speed now. They got more speed because one wide receiver got hurt. They drafted Marcus Golden, so if he comes back, they even got even more speed. So it's a lot of things to deal with. And then you got Josh Jacobs in the backfield. He could be a beast, and once he turns it on, he can carry them to victory too. So it's one of those things that it depends on. It doesn't really depend on just what type of Jordan Love you're getting, but how does that offense start? Do they start off hot? And if they do, they are really difficult to stop.
Boy, you talk about Josh Jacobs. He fits in that offense very well, man. That was like a perfect fit for him. I see why he went to Green Bay, and I see why Green Bay made that attempt to get him, because he made a big difference in that offense last year. So I'm interested to see how he performs again in the second year in that offense and some more weapons. We'll see what Jordan Love does. Listen, when he played against the Bears last year, there were some throws that he made. I'm like, dang, man. I'm like, if he just plays like that and he's a little bit careful with the football, he's a pretty good quarterback. But the problem with him is he could throw that interception. So it'll be fun. Week 14 is gonna be fun. All of us will have our eyes on it as we talk about the Bears schedule, our confidence pool in the Bears schedule. A lot of it has to do with the Packers and divisional games. So I'm gonna put the schedule back up here a minute, Chris, right here. And we always have a trap game. Every team has one every year. I guess unless you're the Eagles or somebody that's going to only lose 2 or 3 games. But for the most part, most teams have a trap game. And as we go over the schedule here and we look for that one trap game, first off, it's hard for me to pick a trap game in the schedule when most of these teams I think are going to be either good or really good this year. I mean, there's a few on here that I think might struggle, but a trap game for me, I'm going to say week 4 against the Raiders. I'm going to say week 4. I think the Raiders are going to be better than last year. I think they're going to have a better head coach. I mean, they got Pete Carroll, who's a really good head coach. They got an NFL. I'm going to call him an NFL quarterback in Geno Smith. He's had a couple of good years coming from Seattle, better than anything that the Raiders had last year. And they got Genty in the draft. I think he has a potential of being a stud. And they got one of the best tight ends in the league, in Brock Bowers. So you put all those guys together in an improved defense. I think this could be a trap game. As you go the first 3 games, especially if they have a win over Dallas in week 3. You go to Las Vegas, who again, I still think it's going to be a lot of Bears fans. But when you're talking about a trap game, maybe that could be one of the ones that I see on the schedule. Let's say you.
It makes a great point because when you look at the Raiders, they didn't really have a lot of guys as far as their free acquisitions on defense. But I'm gonna be different. I'm gonna make a little dark horse prediction here. I'm gonna say the Browns is the bigger trap game just because of multiple things. One, that defense. You don't really, with that type of defense, the roster, how it's set up, you don't really need your offense to be spectacular. And 2, they are right in between both Packers games. So if you pull out a win versus the Packers in week 14, that week 15 game, you might be too high on your horse and go down some that game. And also we've seen with Kevin, I don't know what it is with Kevin Stefanski. There was a lot of teams, there was several teams last year where it was like, it's going to be an easy law. Like it's an easy win going against Cleveland, and they somehow made it a close game or they pulled it out. So I honestly think it's a lot of, and also it's being unpredictable because you don't know who's going to be the quarterback. A lot of people saying Shador, a lot of people saying Flacco, and then with the running back room, it's all new. So you have to be able to prepare for those guys too. Plus, they got better on defense by getting Mason Graham along with Myles Garrett. So I think that's a big trap game just because of the fact that where it's positioned, how the roster is built, and they don't really need a lot from their offense.
We'll see who's playing quarterback at that time too. Will it be Shador Sanders? Will it be Dylan Gabriel? Will it be Kenny Pickett? Will it be Joe Flacco? I don't know. I don't know who's playing quarterback from that time.
Personally, I got Shador, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco, man. I wouldn't be surprised if Joe Flacco starts the season as their starting quarterback. Heck, man. I feel like he fit perfectly in their offense. So I wouldn't be surprised. I won't be surprised by anything that the Browns do because it seems like it doesn't work very often. But I like Kevin Stefanski. He's a head coach a lot. You make great points about the defense. I think their defense, especially with Jim Schwartz as their defensive coordinator, I think he's got the right players in place for him and the draft picks that they had this year. So it'll be interesting. That's a good call on the Browns for a trap game. I want to put this comment back up here. I just had it up here a second ago from Demetrius Wright. So, in your opinion, which would be more satisfying to you, sweeping Green Bay or dominating win against Washington? That's a great question.
That's an excellent question.
I probably sweeping Green Bay just because they've had our number for so many years. But I don't know, man. That Washington game left a bad taste in my mouth last year. I don't get very angry often. I was pissed off after that game. So I think going back to Washington to say, hey guys, that was just a fluke. I don't know, man. Maybe I just lean a little bit more towards Green Bay. What about you, Chris?
I want to say Green Bay, but I feel like this current roster, they feel some type of way about Washington just because of how that game ended last year. Because when you look at the schedule, how everything turned out, that the snowball effect of the team going downhill was right after that game. So for me, I think if they were able to dominating like blowout, then yeah, I think that would feel better because it just not. I mean, the rivalry is one thing, but when you just had a loss that led to that led to the whole downfall of your previous season, you see that as a game where it's like, are we the same guys or are we totally different? So if they were able to dominate and come out with a win, I think that would boost the morale and keep that momentum going, or even start the momentum if they were to start slow. So I think that game's more pivotal than Green Bay, even though Green Bay has a lot more history and animosity towards it.
Well, here's the thing too. Washington went very far last year in the playoffs, and I think they got better. So I think they're to me they're one of the best. They're one of the teams to beat in the NFC right now. If we're talking about Philadelphia number one, I think Washington's definitely in that top five. If you were to put a top five list of teams together, I think Washington would. You could make the argument Washington would be in that top five, Chris.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, and on top of that, this was with the 28th ranked defense. Now, even though you look at the 28th ranked defense, they were still top 10 in red zone defense. So even when they gave up a lot of yards, they didn't really give up a lot of touchdowns. So you think of it as you just see Jaden Daniels, you just see Deebo Samuels, but how this coaching staff and this roster is being put together, and they're not even finished yet. In my opinion, they still got more holes to fill, and they got to the NFC Championship last year. So yeah, it's one of those games. And then on top of that, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, 1 versus 2.
Man,
Who's going to be the one that says I was drafted in the right spot, or they should have picked me first?
I'll tell you what I'll be doing that night on Monday, October 13th. I'll be going to the bar. I'll be having a couple of drinks, and hopefully there'll be some Commanders fans sitting around like they were last time I was there when I went to the Command. Well, I think I said this story on here before last year, but I went to a place here in Knoxville, Tennessee, and it ended up being a Commanders meetup and hangout. And I'm like, man, did I go to the wrong place to the wrong time? To all these guys just going nuts and cheering and hanging out. And I'm like, woo. I was like, I cannot be around Commanders fans, all Commanders fans for this game on that day, man. So I don't want to do that again.
Oh man, I apologize to you because you had that experience. 'Cause I know that Hail Mary at the end was not a good feel. It
No,
wasn't.
it was not. So yeah, I think we got our blood boiling just talking about that game here tonight. So yeah, so it's just to say that was a great question. Thank you for the question too, Demetrius, and thank you guys for watching here tonight. Bears on Tracks brought to you by the Chicago Sports Podcast 5 for Chicago. You guys can like and subscribe on our YouTube page and check that out. We got shows all the time popping up, those notifications popping up on your phone. And you can also share this video with your other Bears friends and tell them that we are breaking down and talking about the Bears all the time here on Bears on Tracks. All right, win-loss predictions. We were talking a little bit about this last week, Kris, and I had them at. I'm gonna get this schedule up again so you guys can follow along what you think win-loss predictions. I have them at 9-8. I think they're a 9-win team. I want to say a 10-win team, but I feel like as we were just talking about trap games, there could be a couple of those, or there could be a couple of these games where it could be close, and we're still maybe not good enough to pull those out yet. I don't know, but I feel pretty confident that we can win 9 games. And if we win less than 9 games, if we're a 7-win team or a 6-win team, I'll be honest with you, I would be very disappointed.
I definitely agree. Just because of when you look at the all this off season, you make acquisitions for the offensive line. You get Ben Johnson. You draft the tight end number 1 overall. You shape this offense to be similar to what he had in Detroit. And if you're not able to win games and become like a 9-10 win team, it would be disappointing. For me, it would be, just because this schedule is not a cakewalk, but they do have what they need on the roster and as in the coaching staff to weather the storm and come out successful.
Yeah, I agree. I think the telling part of it's going to be the first part of the first 4 weeks of this season. I think that to me, that's going to be one of the toughest parts between there and then going to Baltimore and Cincinnati in back-to-back weeks. There's a couple of really tough parts of this schedule, but 9 wins realistic. Caleb Williams has got to take that next step. That's part of this. If Caleb Williams takes the next step, they're a 9-win team. If he does not, and he plays kind of like he played last year, where he was inconsistent, and not putting that all on him, because we all know what happened last year with the coaching and all that. I think he's going to take the next step this year. I think we're going to see a bigger and better Caleb Williams. But if it's anything like last year, I'm not going to have that confidence. I'm just going to say I'm not going to have that confidence that they're going to win 9 wins. But you know what's funny, Kris, is I look around and I see other people posting about what they think of the wins and the NFC rankings and the AFC rankings. I still see some people out there saying that this is only a 7 or 8 win team. Like when they break the Bears down and break everything down of what they have and the NFC in general. Don't get me wrong, there's going to be some good teams in the NFC this year. I think like the Rams could probably take another step. They look like they're going to be really good with young players. We just talked about Washington. I think Dallas, I have Dallas as my wild card. I mean, we never know what we're going to get from them. I think it's going to be a tougher conference than it was last year.
Oh, I definitely agree. You got Russell Wilson going to the Giants, and every time we looked at the Giants, they were a quarterback away because of the fact that their defense was carrying the load for a majority of those games, even though they resulted in a loss. He's not going to be the guy that helps you get to the Super Bowl, but he's a guy that can, when he starts getting a hot hand, he could put some points on the board. So I see this as the NFC's gotten more competitive. At the same time, we don't know what to expect from teams like San Francisco. When it comes to Minnesota, even Minnesota, we don't know what we're going to get from JJ McCarthy. The preseason seemed like a snippet, a sample, but that was still the preseason. And the regular season the tape's going to tell a lot. So I honestly, there's a lot of there's like 3 certified teams that we feel are going to make the playoffs. But as far as like how the NFC's looking, as far as competitive compared to the AFC, I think the NFC has done a lot this offseason, even though there's some questions.
Yeah, there's going to be some questions, and we're also playing the AFC North. We're not playing the AFC South last year. We're not playing the Jaguars or the Colts, or we got some tough games, man. We're playing the Ravens, the Bengals, the Steelers. Like those are 3 tough games alone, man. That's a tough division. That's always a tough division in the AFC, man. Those teams are always competitive with each other.
It's going to be tough facing a Lamar Jackson Ravens, and he's been 22-2 or 23-2 against NFC teams. So
it's so ridiculous,
man.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Don't get me wrong, I'm confident in come out with the victory, but at the same time, I just got to see it for what it is. This particular juncture, they're going to be difficult to beat.
Yeah, we were talking about the Ravens a little bit earlier. I think Lamar is going to have that if he does have that it factor, but that was the first time I really seen that team look pissed off after they got eliminated last year. Like they're going to be on a mission this year. Any game they play and any team they play, it's going to be hard to beat the Baltimore Ravens. So, tough schedule here. We're talking about the Bears' schedule, the confidence that we have, the confidence that we have going into this year. We're picking apart some of the games, some of the toughest matchups. Let us know what you guys think in the chat. Thank you guys for watching tonight. We can't do the show without you guys, as we're talking about the Bears here on Memorial Day weekend. As a lot of people are off, a lot of people get some time to relax. So hopefully you'll get that time too. With it being Memorial Day weekend too, we remember and honor all of those who have served too. So something that I will be thinking about all weekend long as I'm hanging out, having a couple of beers, having a glass of bourbon, eating some really unhealthy food. I'm thinking about everybody out there that made this possible for us. So we can't say thank you enough to all those that have honored, that have served, and then served our country for Memorial Day weekend. Chris, playoff potential, real or hype? When we talk about the Bears, is their playoff potential real? I think there's a lot of realness in there, and I think it's real. You think it's real because if you hear Ben Johnson talk over the last week, especially after some of the voluntary camps were finished, that dude's got that tone in his voice. Like, no, this is a different genre. This is a different regime. We want to go to the playoffs. This is going to be a good Bears team. And I'm buying all of it right now. Now, have we all been here before with Bears coaches? Of course we have. We've been all burned before when we hire a new coach every, Chris? 3-4 years when we've had a new coach where we've had to hire, we're like, okay, we got a new guy and this is going to do something. This guy feels a little bit different though, man. Feels a little bit different, especially with the coaching staff that he put together with all the experience. I think the playoff potential is real. I don't think it's a hype. I think this is real. I think they have a good team. And again, it just depends to me as that next step of Caleb Williams. Is he going to be able to take that next step? That's all to me. That's all dependent if he does that.
I, I agree. I think it feels more real than what people give. What people wants to see it at, just because of the simple fact that it's a new coaching staff. But when I look at it, like the way the roster's built, how it fits their style of play calling, they have pieces that can make each side of the ball, pop as far as like on the field and the levels of play. So with Ben Johnson, the offense, as far as it's built, it's mirrored somewhat to what he had at Detroit. And even when you look at Dennis Allen, especially at the linebacker spot, he has linebackers that can roam and hit and then, see ball, get ball. And the defensive line, they're good as far they have the potential to be good as far as the pass rush. And the secondary, we got guys back there too. So I honestly think like it's a lot more real than people are giving it credit for.
I agree with you. I don't think there's any hype around this. I think this is real. I think this is going to be a competitive team this year. But I'm looking at our chat. See, we got our guy Track saying 7-10. 7-10. Man, that better not be 7 wins. And then we look at Demetrius saying, looking at our schedule, even if we split with our division, all of our home games are winnable. So that's 8 count away games that we could pull off. Cincinnati, San Francisco divisional game. We're about 10 or 11 games.
Yeah.
I like where you're going there, man. Maybe I got to put my win up to a little bit. Maybe I got to pull up to 10 or 11. But I can't remember last year. I think last year when we were going into the season, I think I had them picking. I think I had them at 9 wins. I think I had them at 9 or 10 wins, and I was like, oh man, my predictions look terrible when we were going in. But I feel a little bit more confident in them this year, Chris. But I'll tell you what, if it's another 6-win year, man, I think I'm just gonna take my hat off, show my shiny head. I don't have any here. It's very shiny. It's a new lotion I'm using, guys, too. I put it on every time after you take a shower. You put it on, it makes it more shiny. Anyway,
if it's a 6-7 win season, I will shave all this off and come on here with a mustache.
How about that, man? When was the last time you had it completely shaved off?
When I was doing my military service.
You had to have it off in the military, right?
After that, I was beard all day. I didn't want to shave. All I did was trim. I was beard all day.
Well, you guys heard it, so I have this down. We can take a screenshot of this. That Chris says that he will shave if that happens. So
I will shave the beard part and then come in with a mustache.
You'll feel weird too, man. You're gonna feel like that if you have that shaved off. It's gonna be
It's gonna feel weird on my chin because I'm gonna feel
cool.
the
You're gonna
breeze.
have a cool breeze on you, man.
I'm gonna feel the breeze here.
Okay, so he's saying not him. They're saying 7-10. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, 7-10. But that's what we're saying. If that happens, then we got our bets in place. So we got another comment here saying from Trump 2024. I'm going to say a 10-win season. I feel like over the last couple of weeks we've talked about like predictions and games, wins and losses. Chris, I feel like for the most part, everybody in the chat has said between 9 and 11 wins.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it too. I believe it's like it could be a 9, even 12-win season, to be honest. I mean, the schedule's tough. I'm not saying this as if like it's gonna be a cakewalk. There's a lot of very competitive teams that we're gonna be going against this season, but I think we can pull it through.
Yeah, I do too. I think we're going to pull it through. We got the confidence. We always have confidence, Chris. Every time we talk about the Bears, we have that's when our confidence comes out. So, thank you guys for watching tonight. We really appreciate it. Bears on Tracks brought to you by Chicago Sports Podcast 5 for Chicago. You can like and subscribe on our pages, and those notifications will pop up on your phone. They do on mine all the time. I catch all the shows during the week, so go ahead, like them. When you watch them, share them with your friends, to all your Bears friends. Let them know all about us here as we continue to talk about Bears. Even though it's a little bit of a down part of the year right now, we still have, once June comes around, we got the OTAs that will start popping up. And then before you know it, when July gets here, we'll start talking about training camp and getting ready for that, man. It's going to be here sooner before you know it, Chris.
Oh, of course, and I'm counting each every day as it goes because I just see it as another week until training camp, another week until preseason, and another week into the season. So as far as the day is concerned, I ain't really counting them until we hit about August or September.
I hear you, man. I agree with you. And we'll continue to talk about it here. So thank you guys for watching tonight. And I hope you guys have a great Memorial Day weekend. Chris, I hope you have a great weekend too, my friend.
Oh, definitely. I'm going. There's a whole lot of birthdays I'm going to this weekend. So
A lot of birthday gifts, birthday cakes, man. You're going to be set.
I'm gonna gain about 5 pounds in cake. So
By Monday, man, you're like, oh, man, I'm caked out, dude. All that sugar. You're going to feel good, man. But it's worth it when you see the smiling faces of your family and your kids and stuff. So have a good weekend with your family, Chris.
definitely, it's gonna be a fun time.
For Chris Light Dreams Brown, I'm Matt Cooper. Bears on Tracks brought to you by the Chicago Sports Podcast 5 for Chicago. You guys take care, and we'll talk to you soon.